What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of the 715 Brew Crew Tailgate Podcast as part of the Man Cave Podcast that is brought to you by Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. Dan here with you as always. A big thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, little housekeeping, don't forget to follow and subscribe to both the 715 Brew Crew Tailgate Podcast and the Man Cave Podcast because, well, if you subscribe to the Man Cave Podcast, you can check out our 715 Green and Gold Tailgate Podcast about the pack, 715 Outdoors Podcast, and our 715 Bucks Tailgates Podcast. They're all available up there. The whole 715 Tailgate series is a part of the Man Cave Podcast. I want to talk a little Brewers from spring training yesterday because yesterday's game, and again, maybe you were able to catch it on MLB Network. I was able to catch it. I was flipping it and I'm like, oh yeah, it was Cleveland's broadcast. It was Cleveland's broadcast, but got to check it out and couple things that kind of stood out to me. So going into the game, we knew Jacob Misiorowski was going to get the start, and this is, one of their young stud pitchers that they've got that we may see at the major league level at some point this year. I think the arrow is trending in that direction. We're going to see him at some point this year. Just how soon is the question. So we got some work in yesterday. Maybe for a lot of people, it was their first glimpse of him, and he showed the power. I mean, at one point touched 99 miles per hour. Okay, so he's got that, but he did struggle a little bit with his command and the location of his pitches yesterday. But definitely showed why Brewers and a lot of other people across Major League Baseball are intrigued and kind of high on this kid because of the power that he brings. So. Got to get better at the command, and he talked a little bit about that after the game too. But it wasn't just him in terms of the youngsters. Cooper Pratt, a guy that we talked about, was it last week or maybe the week before? He's a shortstop in their system, and he's 20 years old. And I believe it might have been one of the Brewers writers. I don't know if it was Todd or Adam, but they talked about, hey, could Cooper Pratt be the next 20-year-old to make that Major League roster kind of on the heels of like Jackson last year. And it does that really haven't heard that too much, but there's definitely excitement surrounding this kid. And if you were watching the game yesterday, you probably got a glimpse of why. I mean, Cooper Pratt looked pretty darn comfortable at the plate. Collected 3 total hits, couple of doubles. He's already got 3 in spring training right now. So, I mean, he looked pretty darn comfortable. He's hit, I don't want to go through his numbers in spring training because it's so still early, but you look at what he was able to do at the plate in 3 RBIs. It's like, okay, now maybe you got a quick glimpse, albeit a short one. It's a small sample size, but a quick glimpse of why the Brewers are high on this kid, Cooper Pratt. And, all the talk this offseason, spring training, who's going to play third? Is it going to be, Durbin? Are they going to move Ortiz? Or is Ortiz still going to play third and maybe Terang plays short? It's the trickle-down effect, all that. And I got to wonder, like, dang, if Cooper Pratt maybe was ready to go up. I mean, that's your natural progression is to put Cooper Pratt in the shortstop. I don't think it's going to be this year. I think it's still early, but it's definitely now. If he continues to put up some of these numbers and continues to impress in spring training with his ABs, with his at-bats, and just continues to show how comfortable he is up there, you're going to start to hear his name more. So if you're a Brewers fan, keep that name in the back of your mind, Cooper Pratt, shortstop. Okay? Keep that in the back of your mind because it's not going to be this year. Could it be next year? Possibly. Does that affect the decision of who plays shortstop this year? I don't know if it necessarily does. I don't know if it necessarily affects like, okay, we don't want to, slide Terang or Ortiz to short for this year because we think Cooper's going to be able to do it or be our guy next year. I don't think it'll matter that much. But definitely keep an eye on or just remember that guy's name, okay? Just remember that guy's name. Last year, just for a little bit of a reference, I mean, he only played A-ball, okay? And I know Jackson had like a date at AAA before he was up in the major league levels. But, you look at his numbers for 2024, at two divisions of A. He played A ball and then A+ ball. So, I mean, he's still pretty darn young in his career here. But with his A ball, he ended up finishing with 277 batting average, 362 on-base percentage, a 406 slug, and an OPS of a 768. And that was in 96 games. 73 of those were at Carolina, 23 of those over in Appleton. By the way, shout out to the Timber Rattlers. I don't know if you saw their other, do you call it identity? You know, you see it in minor league baseball teams. They'll have a different team name. You know, they did, you know, the Udder Tuggers and such, but now they're going to be the Wisconsin Frozen Pizzas, and they got some new swag coming out. I love it. I love it. Got to get one. But Cooper Pratt had a good game yesterday, and remember that name. If you're just, you know, maybe you haven't heard about him too much or don't know a lot, just remember that name, because that could be your next shortstop in your future. And then Jackson Cheerio yesterday, and, you know, if you're looking at the box scores and such, you're like, oh, dude had a couple hits. All right, he's hitting 429 right now in spring training, 929 OPS in spring training. You know, guys doing well. That's great. But the thing I took away from Cheerio yesterday was he got a start in center field. And now he's gotten a start in left field, he's gotten a start in right field, and he's gotten a start in center field. And Pat Murphy just the other day, you know, made the comment like, you know, last year, dude couldn't catch a ball because it was, I mean, and we saw it last year. He was still little. Yeah, this was the quote from Pat Murphy yesterday. We couldn't put him in center field last year because he couldn't catch a fly ball. So we decided that he's taken that step forward. This year, we'll let him play center. How much more? We'll see. But watching him, and there was a particular one, it was kind of like a line drive shot to center field. He looks pretty natural going over there, gliding over to right side and catching it. He, again, small sample size, an incredibly small sample size, so I don't want to get too high, but he looked comfortable. He looks more comfortable in the outfield than what he did, especially at the first half of last year, where he was playing so deep in the outfield, and it was a talking point a lot. He was playing so deep because, you know, taking that first step backwards. And there was times, too, right in the early portions of the season last year where, because he was playing so deep, balls were dropping in front of him. Sometimes we saw maybe, you know, there was one game where Freddie was a little frustrated because it felt like maybe he could get that ball, but kind of pulled up a little bit. But if Jackson Cheerio is going to be playing, or he's more comfortable playing in the outfield and more comfortable playing all spots in the outfield, I mean, that's just another step in his growth to being one of the better younger players in this game. I know we're going to pay attention a lot to what he does with his bat and the numbers that he puts up offensively. But if this is a guy now that you could say, hey, he could play all three outfield spots, and he could play it well. You know, I don't know if we want to, you know, put a level of a Gold Glove at him right now defensively, but if he could go out there and play those spots well, I mean, that's a huge boost for this team because it gives you the added flexibility of, okay, we want to put Yelich in left field today, but we want to keep Frelick in right. Maybe we'll give Garrett Mitchell the off day. Jackson could go play center. We know Frelick could go play center. So, I mean, they're creating this versatility within their outfield, and we know Garrett Mitchell can play all spots too. They're creating this versatility and giving Cheerio a shot to play all these spots to open up his toolbox, if you will. Become more of a multi-tool player. So I know, again, offense is what we're going to look at the most right away for Jackson Cheerio. And can he take another step offensively? Because what's the talk? Can he be 30 steals, 30 home runs this year? But if he continues to improve in his outfield play, improve in his defensive play, and be a guy that you could put out there in center field, and, you know, where he's more comfortable, where maybe he's not playing as deep, and he's getting better reads on balls, that's just going to make him a better player overall, and overall a better fit for this Brewers team.